UpTown LinkUp. Yes, sir. Hello? Is this UpTown LinkUp?
Yes, it is.
Oh, best program ever.
Welcome to another beautiful and interesting day at the UpTown LinkUp show. You know, we are speaking today with a giant from the Diaspora. You know, I must say, sometimes some of these giants, they move incognito and they don't come up front, you know. And so today we're getting to speak with one of those, you know, who I think has been amazing in the past when it comes to philanthropy and doing work, you know, in the background, making moves, you know what I mean? And I think us Jamaicans need to be educated, you know, to kind of honor that kind of respect for persons who are making great moves for us here in our local communities, school, and especially in sports too as well. Right, we're speaking to none other than Miss Michelle Neal. Miss Michelle Neal. Miss Michelle Neal was a bachelor in the arts in criminal justice, you know, at the Temple University, and master in theology from the Theological Seminary at Palmer's University, and many more too. If I go through the list, we might finish the program with me speaking. It's so enormous. She's also a victim witness coordinator in the Juvenile Court Unit of the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office. And the list goes on. But we will educate ourselves as we go through today.
Time changes everything. The best the world can bring, but I still love you. One life, 1,000,000 tears. But yet through all these years, yes, I still love you. Hey, yeah. It's just a feeling.
I like UpTown LinkUp. Yes, sir. Best program ever.
Good morning, and thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak with you and your listening audience. It's indeed an honor to be on this other side of the mic and just to talk a little bit about me. And yes, you are right. I am one who likes to be incognito. So this is actually this whole experience has been different for me.
Before we move forward with this beautiful and hardworking lady, you know, from the Diaspora, we want to know the fundamentals, the foundation, you know, of you, Mrs. Neal. Tell us about your early life in Jamaica. What was that experience like for you?
So growing up in Jamaica, so I am the middle child. So I have two before me and two after me. One is currently deceased, which is one of my favorite brothers.
Wow.
His name was Richard.
I'm sorry
So
to hear that.
he went home to be with the Lord. You know, it's interesting because as much as we love life, that death is also a part of it, and it's something that will take place. But thank you very much for your kind words. I grew up in a regular family. My father actually worked for Grace Kennedy. Yes, and my mom was she's in the banking, and she also worked at Cayman and Spark. So we come from a regular middle class family. I went to Holy Child High School, which I love and give of my time and talent and treasure to them. And then after that, I started working for ICWI under Dennis Layler, and then I migrated to the US. And my experience here has just been nothing short of God just blessing my every move as I continue on this path. I started out that while I was here, I went to get my first degree and my second degree, and I have just been moving along as I am led by the Lord. As you can see, God is a major part of my life, so you'll always hear that in my conversations.
Yes.
But how I got here was a friend of mine. The previous Dr. Dunkley did a wonderful job as the diaspora lead for the Northeast, and I was just enamored by her. And when I heard that she was stepping down, I said to myself, why would she when she's doing such a wonderful job? And then this other lady says, why don't you do it? And I said, nah, that's not for me. I am more of a supportive person, so I would like someone to lead, and I will support them in what they want to do. And the long and short of this is that um, on in November, the same lady, her name is Barbara Wilson, and she
Yes.
called me again and she said, have you considered to run for this role as a Global Jamaica Diaspora Council? And I
Wow.
said to her, and I did this because I was so certain that God would not lead me this way. And in order to brush her off, I said, you know what? I will pray and fast. And whatever God says by the end of the week, I will do so. And I'm just going to give you quickly two things that happened. So the first thing was that a friend of mine who is also a preacher posted on Facebook that she's going to start this women's group. And I was like, it's about time. And she said, oh, by the way, I was praying this morning and God says it's your time. And I was just like, she doesn't know what I'm praying for. So where this is going. And eventually I met her that night. She was an hour away from me, but I wanted to know why she said that. Fast forward to Saturday when I had to make a decision, my supervisor, who is of a Jewish faith, just came to my desk while I'm at work, and she started talking about, what I need to do with my life, and if God opens this door, I should da 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 da. And she went on and on and on. And she said to me, I am not sure why we are talking about this. And I said, I know exactly why. And that's how I end up being running for the position of the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council. So in a nutshell, that's how I got here.
When you migrated to the United States, I'm sure, as you stated in your bio, you started in 2003 your career. What was it like before starting your career in the United States?
Well, the United States in itself, it's a school. And so coming from Jamaica, it was a big shift. There are certain things and principles that they did that would not go with how we were brought up in Jamaica.
Hmm.
But this is now home, so you need to make the necessary changes. And so I've always loved the law and everything that surrounds it. So then I started out working for Delta, the airline, and excuse me, and where else did I? Oh, and then I work at Macy's department stores, and just trying to find my way. And then, as faith would have it, I decided to go to college to do my degree, and I got the opportunity to do my internship here at the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office. And on my last day of my internship, my supervisor then looked at me and says, what are your plans? And I said, well, I'm not sure yet what I'm doing. And she says, well, there are two openings here. How about you apply for it and come along board? And I have never left. So that was what my life has been like. It was a transition from what Jamaica is. But what made it easy for me is that I had family here. And once you have
Yes.
that strong family supporting you, you can move mountains. And so that is what makes the difference for me. Not only did I have family, but I have real friends that is here to support me and help me along the way as I made my decisions and I navigate through migration.
Wow, wow. And you started out professionally at the victim witness coordinator in the juvenile court in Philadelphia, DA's office. You started
That
out
is
there,
correct.
and I'm not sure if there was a conundrum, but you also represented the prosecutory, and also you represented the defense. Tell us, tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. Oh, you picked up on that. So what happened was, I love when people start out like that. So while in the office, I have a love for youth and where their direction is and in what capacity I can help. And so the DA's office started this program in each community. And the idea behind it was that it's called a youth aid panel. And
Yes.
so they were taking individuals from within your community. And the idea behind it is if you know the boys and girls in your community, and they know who you are, and you sit on this board, maybe there'll be a little bit more respect. They'll know that you know their parents, and it might be a situation where you can guide them along the right path. And
Mm-hmm.
so with this program, I said to myself, you know what, let me try, because it was in conflict with my office, because it was actually the district attorney's office who started the program in order to help the youth. And I said, you know what, let me see what I can do. So yes, even though I am prosecuting, these individuals in this program are first time offenders who, we all have made mistakes. And so we need to have a program in which we are not sending you to prison or to jail, but to give you what you need so you can become a productive member of society. And once I saw that was a focus, I said, yes, this is for me. I want to help, because we all have made mistakes. And to this day,
Yes.
we are still making this mistake. And we need for somebody to come along and show us an option. And I'm
Yes.
always, where young people are concerned, looking for an option for them to take away from a life of crime.
And I see where you also um uh, get the community involved in some kind of mitigation with the juvenile justice program too. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, so that is an interesting thing. This is a situation where you are just doing the work. And I got a call from the governor at the time stating that they would like to start this program where we would look at what is being done to both Black, white, Hispanic, all of them, just to check to make sure the system is being fair to all, and it's not a matter of your color of your skin. So I got onto that program, and then to this day, I'm still on that board. And we
Wow.
try to look at it, because if you're not careful and you're not seated at the table, decisions will be made and not think of your people while you're at it. So, and that is where all the policies that comes down, because that's on a state level, right? So you need to make sure the decisions that are made at the state level, when they come down to the city, reflects the entire community. So it's important to sit on that board to make sure everyone gets a fair share.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Inspector of Nova Victims Assistance Academy, also co-chair of Coalition of Victim Advocacy, right? These are a lot of accolades to your name. How do you navigate through, because some of these you're still active in, I assume. How do you
Yes.
navigate through all of these while doing your philanthropy in your seat? How do you do that?
All right. To whom much is given, much is required. And I did say, here I am, Lord, use me. And so somehow I managed the time. I managed to do it all. And you can, if you make time for it. I do believe whatever is important to you and you make time for it, it can happen. However,
Yes,
what I have
yes.
done for those that I was the chair for, like on Team Jamaica Bickle, where I was the chair for, I stepped down and said, no, I don't want to lead but I want to be supportive. So you have to look at your life and see where you can still be involved, but step down for the time being to make sure you are giving your 100% to this, because we can't spread ourselves thin. If not, you are not being effective. And it's interesting that you don't always have to lead every board that you sit on. And
Yes.
once you are comfortable with that, it's fine. I mean, I remember even at my church, they are looking for certain roles, and they're like, Michelle, why don't you lead this? I said, no, not at this time, but I'm willing to support whoever wants to lead. So you don't always have to lead, but you can do what you do from behind and support the next person.
What's the responsibility uh, for a global diaspora council um, top ranked individual like you? You are at the highest level in that area. Talk to me. What's responsibility like?
For me, the response, you know, the government has many mechanisms in order to connect. How
Yes.
do you know what is happening here? So, you know, we sit on this board. Yes, I was elected, fine. But when I speak, I try as much as possible to speak from after gathering information. So it's a more about connecting,
Yes.
collaborating, and so you have a voice as to what you are doing. So, for example, everyone that comes in this role kind of shape it to what they would want it to be, so to speak. And when I say that, I mean, for me, it's all about education. And
Yes.
so, since my focus is education, you will
Hmm.
find that I will have my forums over a wide section of topics, but the bottom line is to educate you in one form or the other. Because if I can educate you, then when you have to make a decision, you are more informed about
Yes.
what you need to do. Like, for example, on Wednesday, I do have a forum coming up, and it's on unity and strength, looking at diversity, equity, and inclusion in the diaspora. Because if we are not unified, we are going to have problems. Yes, you can work around it, but you do need to be unified. And then following that, I realized during COVID that a lot of businesses didn't have their paperwork in order or what to do in order to get these grants from the government. And so also in America, based on your credit score or where your zip code is, it can affect your lending power. And so my following forum that's coming up is targeted specifically to organization, the restaurants, the foundations, how you can go about talking about this and can be able to get the funds you need so you can maybe fix your the business front, you can hire more people. So my range of what I am doing as a global Jamaica diaspora is under the whole guise of educating. So, and that's one, and I work with the National Education Trust and so forth to make sure whatever I'm doing is in line. So it's all about just connecting, collaborating, and getting people to know. I'll talk about two things that I'm really proud of. It's
Yes.
one that I call the cozy chat. And
I was
what
just I was just about to ask you about the
Nigeri Records, one of the best production house out of California, presents Robert Sutherland with three big songs like Pona Kali, Never Give Up, and Another Youth Rise. A gift from Jamaica to the world. Nigeri Records. Get your copy today. Available on all digital platforms.
Give me some Monday, give me a pound of the collie. Hey. Them destroy the weed and bring in the coke, what a folly. Hey.
Hey, yeah. It's just a feeling.
Okay. So the idea behind cozy chat is that it will be a relaxed conversation, right? But what I found out is that when you think of the diaspora, there are certain names that are synonymous with the diaspora. However, there are a lot of Jamaicans and people who love Jamaica who are doing the work in the community that you know nothing about. So
Yes.
I was strategic in trying to find those individuals in each state. So my in the Northeast there are 14 states. So I'm looking out. I look to Connecticut. Let me talk to individuals who are doing the work that nobody knows so that you can be that voice to these other diasporans so that they can say, okay, I'm interested in what Sean is doing and I would like to give of my time, talent, and treasure to make this happen. So that's the idea behind the Cozy Chat. And it has become a remarkable get to know you situation where people will be on and said, hold on, Sean, did you and I go to school together? Were you this teacher? And it's really been a positive thing to let people know that okay, I migrated from the US and this is migrated from Jamaica and this is where. So it's all about getting us to realize that there are so many unnamed people that are doing the work in the community, and Jamaicans on the other end would like to be, diasporans on the other hand would like to be involved but just don't know where. So my focus is to like, let me tell you who is doing what where, and if it speaks to you, this is where you can put your time, talent, and treasure.
Beautiful. I've seen the other day where there was a big protest. I think it was in New York, and the question came to me. Is it possible for all diaspora unit to coordinate in a way to approach one goal? Is that possible in America?
It is possible if you choose to.
Yes.
And I was talking to someone 2 weeks ago about the division and the distraction and every D word that you can think of that's happening. But what we realize that we look at an issue like, say, for example, crime, right? And it's an issue here, it's an issue here in Jamaica, it's an issue all over. I woke up this morning to the news about the children in New Jersey and the fight and the stabbing over the weekend. So crime is everywhere. And then what they do is reach out to us of what is happening here, what are your suggestions? Well, like in any relationship, I can suggest something to you, but that doesn't mean that you have to follow it through. I listen to you, I might take a little bit from it, or
Yes.
maybe what you're suggesting is not what we can use right now, so we'll table it. So if you have to be in a situation where you are willing to compromise and see what we can do to move us forward. If you are just being so negative and it's either your way or the highway, you're going to run into. So we need to find a space where we all can sit at the table. However, if we can't sit at the table, we might have to sit at another table, but the agenda is to move the country, the development of our people forward at the bottom line. If that's not your reason for doing what you do, then maybe you just need to take a look within and said, Lord, am I doing this for the right reason? Am I being impactful? Am I making a difference? Like, for example, this was a result of a conversation with a gentleman in New York, and he talked about how much he's giving back to the basic school and the primary school. And I've always given back to my high school. And I realized that the basic and primary school are forgotten. And I am very, very, very interested in the digital divide. And so I decided to do a laptop drive.
Yes.
But the laptops are going to schools in the country area, the parishes, the areas that people don't even know that there's a school there. Because I'm telling you, there are certain basic schools I didn't even know exist. And I would like to use this opportunity to bless them or donate. The Christian mind is always on me, so I'm always using the term bless, but to donate to the schools. And so we can start having our children know exactly what is a coding program, what can I do with the computers, and so that when they get to high school, it is not a the divide is not so wide that it takes them so much time. Because right now, as we are talking, their laptops are at my house and they'll be picking them up on Thursday, shipping them to Jamaica so that they meet me in Jamaica when I'm there June 16th through the 19th during the convention. So that's what we need to do. We need to find our what we can do to impact, and at the same time having being able to step aside, hear somebody else out and meet in the middle. We have to meet in the middle.
Is Jamaican politics um is distorting anything in the mindset of the leaders?
Yeah, and to be honest with you, there are actually 30 of us in the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council. You know, this was changed a couple years ago. And so you have the US, you have Canada, you have Europe, you have Africa. You have a wide section of Global Jamaica Diaspora Council representative. Yes, their politics is always going to be a part of it, and it does affect. But at the same time, we have to remember that our job is not political. It's
Right.
not. So we have to be able to make sure that what we are doing is for all people. So be it not the JLP in power or the PNP in power, our work is to be one of that mechanism to let the Jamaican government, so to speak, because I'm not working for the government, right? I'm not working for Jamaica government. I am just trying to do what I can here to have a conversation. This is what's happening. This is what people are talking about. This is what their interest is. Um, and how can we make sure when at the end of the day, wherever you call home, you can thrive where you call home. So yeah, the politics is always going to be there, but you have to walk that fine line. That's not my job. My job is here just to be able to connect, to collaborate with other diasporans in the US, and at the same time, whatever I can do to bless or donate to my community and work with my community, I will keep on doing that as long as I have the power and
Yes.
the means to do so.
Yeah. We have seen a lot of separation happening in America, and so it's intriguing, and it is pleasing to the heart when persons from the diaspora, lend a helping hand, and so on, and persons want to get into the mind of, persons like you. I want to know, what is it that when you're looking in, what would you like to see?
All right. As you can see from my bio, whatever I'm doing, I try to do it here in the US. So this is home for me now, and also where my heart is, which is Jamaica. When I talk to individuals about working on a project with me, and they're like, I want to do this in Jamaica, I always says, and what are we doing in the US, right? So I'm always looking to that. The benefit is that, which I like about the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council itself, is that we are all over the world, right?
Wow.
And your
Yes.
experience teaches you a lot. How you view life, what you have learned, and how to do things differently. And so my end game is really if we could all come to the table, because I do believe maybe it's just me, I just love my people. And I think we are the most brilliant of all people. And there's something special about being Jamaicans. And I do believe if all of us can come to the table, there is literally no issues or problem that we can't solve. So for my goal will be, let me bring people from Canada, from the US, from England, from Africa. What have you learned? And then bring the Jamaicans on board, and let's just talk about this. How do we solve our health issue? How do we solve our education issue? How do we solve our crime issue? Tell me a little bit about what initiatives you are doing in Jamaica. What are you doing in the US? And how did you curtail that? If we bring that to the table, I'm telling you, there's nothing I honestly believe that we can't solve. But we have to put our egos aside and realize that we are doing this for development of the world, right? This is not about, because that's the only reason why I'm trying to launch this program with the UTL panel, where I have all these kids here in the US, and maybe on a Saturday, meet with kids in Jamaica. And the beautiful thing about Zoom call is that you can do it from anywhere in the world. And
Yes.
just have these kids from both sides talk to each other and to learn, okay, so in Jamaica, this is what we do. In the US, this is what we do. How we can find a way where we can be respectful of each other and so we can move towards development. So I do believe that we just have to learn to work together and you are not always right. It's okay.
Yes. How do you like to identify Jamaica, um, culturally and socially? Would you like to see something closer to what's happening in the US, or you would like for Jamaica to be identified, in the past, maybe a different way? What is it? What's the identity looking like for you?
I do believe you have to find your own identity because when you start to model somebody else's, that's where you get into problem. Like for example, I love who you are, and then I'm not authentic to myself, so I become you. Then it becomes an issue. Yes, I can take information and knowledge and experience from you in order to help me make my decision. But you have to be able to stand on your own. That's one of the reasons why the Jamaica brand is so important and we need to protect it. I mean, I see here at, for example, at the Pen Relays, right?
Hmm.
You see other things having Jamaica brand. Are they paying us to use our athletes' face? Are they paying us to even the food that we sell? Is it saying produced or made in Jamaica, or is it made in some other country? And so we don't want to lose who we are because we are special. Reggae music is ours, jerk is ours. But then you see everybody has a jerk now. Everybody seems to be having a rhythm of reggae music. And our sports is like our sports brand we have to protect. I know this is going all over the place now, really, but I was on the train, right, just before the pen relays, and two young ladies were sitting in front of me. They are students, and they were participating at the pen relays, and they were talking to each other about training and preparing, blah, blah, blah. And the only thing, and I was laughing to myself, the young lady says, yeah, I'll win my race as long as there's no Jamaican in the race. And so we have a Jamaica brand to protect. And we have to make sure that when we talk about who we are as a people, it really is authentic to who we are. We cannot water wash or copy anybody. We can
Yes.
listen to you, but then at the end of the day, we have to identify who we are. Jamaican, very proud of who we are, who God made us to be, and what we need to do. We just need to find our own niche, and
Yeah,
we'll be
because
fine.
we Jamaicans have been influenced quite a lot, via stuff that is happening in the US. We're seeing that happening perpetually. The influence, from the US. And I thought it was the other way around, based on what Marcus Garvey went up and saw. So,
Hmm.
when thinking about it, I've seen the other day, on TVJ, right? I've seen where there was a program for some youths, and they were actually giving the little boys manicure and pedicure, softening these boys, and a couple of us was watching it, and was really, it was appalling, because of how we grew up, how we know how to be men, in the rough and tumble of things, and how to make decisions, and to see this kind of influence is happening to our boys, and they seem so helpless where that is concerned, because we call the shots for the kids. And so you you actually work in justice, into the Justice Department in America. um I want to ask you something. This I might not put into the edited version of the interview. Right?
Good.
But I'm gonna ask you anyway. It all depends on how you answer this. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Hey, send text. But I'm me woman and me yard that give me stress. I want to break the news to her. Say we are gonna left, but she need to show some damn interest.
The influence of LGBTQ. Are there any, what you would say now, any, for persons like you, do you have to subscribe to this kind of thing to be in your position?
No, not at all. Not at all. I don't have to subscribe to anything at all. What we have to do is just be respectful of your choices.
Yes.
And that's bottom line. Whoever is assaulted or whoever car is stolen by a juvenile, it doesn't matter what your chosen life is. I still have to help you because no matter what it is, you are a victim.
Right.
And so that is where we come from. So no, just like how color doesn't matter. What you do behind closed door is your business. My job is to make sure I can do everything within my power or within my scope to make sure you get justice for what is happening to you.
Yes, that's very beautiful. I respect that. There is a new initiative happening in Jamaica and it's taking life. It's moving out into the world and it's headed by this great man like Marcus Garvey did in the name of Dean Roden. It is called Under the Reggae Tree. Now he has a program by the name of Let's Talk Under the Reggae Tree. But he came into Jamaica. He's into Jamaica now. We're in May. He's into Jamaica now, and he is doing a lot, making a lot of moves, doing a lot of things, and promoting the Reggae Tree. Well, I have the privilege to speak to a lot of persons under the Reggae Tree. You know, what do you think about that, and how do you see that moving forward in a couple of years from now? Talk to me.
Oh my. Mr. Roden is just a phenomenal gentleman. He actually, when I won, he reached out to me and he is so respectful. He is a visionary. He is one that just wants to make sure we can all come together. He is a humble leader. Every time he calls me, I have to make time for him because it's going to be a deep conversation. But the love that he has for people is just beyond words.
Yes.
And he loves his hometown. And can you imagine if we had 100 more Dean Roden in this world that is willing to go back to their community, willing to invest? I mean, he is bringing the STEM program, robotics, space, technology. I mean, I feel like I'm a slacker, right? Because I'm not doing anything at all. And he is just doing a wonderful job in that community.
Yes.
And I'm hoping next year, because I was supposed to be there this year, but other things came into place and I wasn't able to.
Yes.
But I'm hoping if not next year, God's will, or the following year, I can be there to be part of that program. Mr. Roden is just a phenomenal. And to have the launch finally in 2024, yes. And then he is not a gentleman who is all about him. He's looking for somebody who he can pass the baton to. And that's what I see young people as.
Yes.
You know, how we can pass the baton so they can. It's not always about me and no, who is behind me? My pastor always said, if you are walking and you look back and there's no one follow you, all you're doing is taking a walk. You are not a leader. So as a leader, you always have to look to see who you can bring along so they can be in this space. And the other thing I love about him, I remember the first time he invited me on his program, is how he calls the students what they want to be.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that I've seen other culture do that we need to also do. We call our children certain names, and when they become that, we wonder why. No, speak life into their situation. Call them the doctor that they are. Call them the policeman that they want to be. Call them the nurse. Call them the teacher. That's what we want to do, and that's what Dean does. And so you can see those kids will flourish. Granted, you might not want to be a teacher later on. You might become a lawyer or whatever, but at least you begin to think about how do I see myself and how do I transition. And this gentleman, Mr. Roden, calls me teacher, calls me nurse, then I have to live up to that. So we cause them to rise to the occasion, rise to the strong person that they are. But we need to speak life into our children. And that is what Mr. Roden is doing. Remarkable. Oh, I could go on.
It is. I want to ask you, because in all my interviews I try to ask, what are the high points? And then after that, tell me the low points. What is it that you love to do most? And what is it that you really don't love to do?
What is it that I enjoy doing? I enjoy being a blessing to others. And I would like to, whatever I do, to make a difference in others' life. I am happiest when I am actually giving. You know, the Bible tells you it's blessed to give than to receive. And for me, in my life, that is so true. So I would like to see a need and be able to have the capacity to fulfill that need. That's the joy of it.
Yes.
What I don't like is where you are doing the best you can, and then you have those people who just look for whatever it is. It's never enough, or they look for you to fall so they can talk about that. But my pastor says, if you're in the public face, you're in the public mouth.
Yes.
And so you always have to be mindful of that and just remain focused on what your philanthropy is. What is it that you want to do at the end of the day? If my giving to others makes me happy, no matter what they say, keep on giving to the children, keep on doing what you can do to make this world a better place. We're only here for X amount of years. Why not make your life mean something and count for something? So yeah, that's the best part for me.
You gave me the best, you gave me the worst, and then you gave me a better part. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. We're speaking to none other than the great Michelle Neal. And I really enjoyed this chat, and I hope we can do it again another time. Thank you very much for your time, Miss Neal.
Thank you very much. It has been an honor to speak with you. Thank you so much, and all the best in whatever you do. And I'm sure we'll talk again.
Have a wonderful rest of the day.
You too. Bye.
Thank you.
I like UpTown LinkUp. Yes, sir. Hello? Is this UpTown LinkUp?
Yes.
Oh, best program ever.